Okay, as you can see, I've got a couple tracks, audio tracks in here, and I'm going to talk today about the mixer window. And if you're not familiar with it, the easiest way to get to it is go up to make sure mixer is selected with the Docker. On Mac, the shortcut is Control or Command M. So it should appear down at the bottom. You can resize it. It's kind of not intuitive. If you move your arrow around into the mix window, it will turn to an up-down arrow, and it's kind of hard to find. Like if you could see, I'm just to the left or right of the counter window here, and you can resize the mixer window that way. You're going to want to resize it fairly tall because we're going to be talking about these inserts here. On a PC, it's a little different. Your arrow is going to be at the bottom of the mixer window. You're just going to have to tweak it to get it to move up and down, but you're going to want to expand it because you're going to be talking about different things. So we have a master fader here, and this controls the level of your entire mix. I mean, in general, you want to leave this master fader set to 0. You can move it up and down, and this will affect your entire mix. If you want to get it back to 0 or the default, just double click and it'll pop right back up for you. We have our mute button, our solo button. You also have something called mono. And this is important to check your mixes in mono. Sometimes you might have things pan too far right or too far left, and you just don't know what kind of systems people are going to be listening to on. So listen to it in mono. If things are disappearing, it means you have them pan too far to the right or to the left. Mono button's easy to turn on or off. You can see the icon up here going from mono, turning blue, to stereo. Well, it's not blue, it's greenish blue. I don't know, I'm not great with colors. So I talked about the mute. Trim button we're going to talk about later. You also have a master pan button. You pretty much want to leave that alone. I talked about the mute solo. Oh, if you wanted to add an overall effect to your mix, you do it the same exact way. Go to Master Effects window, go to Kakos, put your effects. Understand this is going to affect your entire mix, so if you want to put a reverb, delay, or wash over it, over your entire mix, that would be the way to do it. Okay, we have a little gear button down here in the master fader. If you click on that, this will show you what your, give you some more options on what your master or your mixer window will show. And this will also allow, if you go up to master track, to basically move down or show what your master track is going to do. I haven't talked about the Docker, but down here at the bottom is something called Docker. And anytime you add, like let's say you want to remove your mixer from the Docker or from the view, you just click on this right here and it will get rid of it. Again, all you have to do to get it back is go up to View. Now if you notice in the View menu, Docker is not checked, neither is Mixer. Once you check Mixer, we go back up to the view, Docker is automatically checked, and your mixer is now appearing in the Docker window. So it's just another way to close it out using the Docker window. Checking my notes here. Oh, you can also, this is when I was talking about expanding or contracting your mixer window. If you notice up here, you have, these are hard to see. There's 2 rows of effects. You have track inserts at the top, and at the bottom you have track send. So if you want to add an effect, you can either do this up in the work area, or you can do it in the mixer window. So if you want to do it in the mixer window, you just click on it. In the same way, this case, maybe I'll add a real EQ. I'll go OK, and it appears right in here. Now if I have set this EQ and I really like it and I want to use it for my next track, you can copy it really quickly by just clicking and holding it and dragging it into the next track, and it just duplicated your settings. So that's a real quick way to get that. You can also bypass the effect by shift clicking on it. Shift clicking will bypass it. Notice it's now turned orange. That's telling you that it's bypassed, it's no longer active, and you can shift click again and it'll appear. This applies for both Mac and PC. Oh, notes, 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 notes. Okay, if you want to get rid of it, all you have to do is, let's see where this was in my notes. If I control click, you'll notice that you have, actually it's not control click. I'm going back to logic here. Command click. Yes, command click or control click PC. Okay, you can bypass it that way by clicking on this button up here, or if you want to remove it, you can remove it that way. Close out that window and notice that it has now been removed. So, all right, talked about that. Shift click will also bypass, talked about that. Oh, record monitor. This is an interesting one in that down in here you have something called record monitoring. Let's say you're singing along with a track and you want to hear that track while you're recording. So you would make sure that record monitoring is on. That way you will be able to hear the tracks as you're recording. We're not going to do a lot of this in class because we're going to mostly be working with effects. Generally you want to leave this off. There's also an auto record monitoring, basically does the same thing. So for this lecture, just get familiar with the mixer window and experiment a little bit.